Hello, and welcome to Here's the Thing with Robbie and Jose, where we explore relationships through a male and female perspective. With me, as always, is the lovely Robbie.
Hello,
You're
Jose.
dancing before I got to the intro.
I was.
What jam was going on in your head when
I
you
was
were dancing?
like what you were saying. I was making it into a song. Like because
Somebody should make it
your
into a
intros
song.
are always the same. That's funny. Yeah, next time, why don't you rap it or
Yeah.
something?
Rap it.
Here, can you do it like real
No,
quick?
because I'm going to sound like one of those white guys trying to rap. My name is Jose.
And this is Robbie.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that. That's what sucks too, is that I grew up in the generation with rap, and I can't do it. Like I can do it with a song and kind of play along with it, but if I tried, couldn't do it.
Oh, I don't know what it would sound like if I tried to rap, but it's probably really stupid. Like,
And it makes me upset about that. I don't know why, but that makes me upset. Like I should know how to rap.
well, when I see those videos like on Instagram and stuff or whatever, people like not celebrities, but regular people doing it, it's fascinating. I'm like, dang, it's because like there's this one guy, I don't remember what his name is, but he's like, he can come up with stuff. You give him something and he just raps about it. That's amazing.
Listen, I was watching, I think it was I don't know if it was a documentary or something on Eminem, and they were talking about all the double and triple entendres that he says just in one little paragraph.
Yeah.
And like how many meanings it has and like how different references. And like, I was like, that's amazing. And he makes it rhyme. Poetry, also poets. Poets are another one of those people that I just like, I'm enamored by just the fact that they can compose and put those things together in such a way that's beautiful and articulate and you understand the meaning without actually just saying the actual meaning. Like, I don't know. it's, writers in general.
Well, I won't
think
say
are
what it was,
fantastic.
but you did write a poem one time and I got to read it and it was very good.
But anyways,
Yeah. So, anyways, we're talking again about Love is Blind on Netflix. And last time we recorded, we did a double episode kind of special. We're doing that again to kind of, because it takes a long time
it does.
when we do these Love is Blind.
And I think we found out that love is not blind. It's a little nearsighted.
Yes, very nearsighted. They need glasses. But yeah, we're talking about 7 and 8 today. So where we left off the last time is they're all kind of like meeting the family and that whole thing. And it ended, Brennan is at Alexa's parents' house, or her dad and his new wife, who looks the same age as her. But they,
That's right. That was his wife, wasn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
I think she's probably younger than Alexa,
I
honestly.
thought it was her sister when I first saw it, and then I realized, oh, they can't be sisters because they weren't very affectionate towards one another.
Well, yeah, that's got to be weird. I wonder in that scenario if one of your parent remarries, let's say, and they're the same age as the kid or younger or whatever, they don't expect them to call him mom, right? Like surely she doesn't say, "Hey, mom," or really give her much respect because
I don't know.
that's my equal.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not going to be like, "Yes, ma'am, I'll do the dishes."
Well, even if it's not the age thing, I think it has to do with the relationship. Like Zainab and her stepmom, she didn't call her stepmom. She just, to describe her, she'll say she's my stepmom, and then usually correct herself and be like, no, she's really my mom, right? But she's technically a stepmom.
I just think it's easier to respect someone who's older than you in that sense. And so, like, if my dad remarried and he remarried someone my age or younger, that would be really strange
that's what I'm
for
saying.
me.
Yeah, so it's the age thing, but it was weird. So I used to know a guy. His name was Johnny, and Johnny, he was married, and he had his wife's mom was still alive, and he would call her mom. Right, so it's his wife's mom, but he would call her mom. And somebody one time, because we used to play poker together, and somebody asked him like, "Why do you call her, mom? Since technically she's your mother-in-law."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, my mother's passed away a long time, and I've known her for whatever, so I just call her mom." So I think something happens too. So in his situation, even though she didn't raise him, obviously, because she married his daughter, but there was something about when you lose a parent or something like that. That if you find a surrogate, if you will, like you sometimes will be like, okay,
I think that's a normal thing. Because
I think so too.
Yeah, my mom encourages like my siblings, significant others, like you can call me mom, like and their parents are still alive. It's just like
Yeah. For me, it was different though, because I grew up without a dad, and there's no even with the my best friends and their fathers who I grew up with, I would never call them dad.
Yeah.
It would just be weird to me to call any man dad.
Yeah. I'm assuming Alexa and her stepmom are probably just more like friendly. Like they go
Well,
shopping
that's what I'm saying.
together.
They weren't very affectionate as soon as you greeted him at the door. But in all fairness, her dad looked like he keeps himself up.
Oh
He's
yeah.
a good looking older man.
Yeah.
So like
Very put together. Maybe his wife picked out the outfit. I don't know, but he seemed put together.
he looks like he knows what he's doing. So
But they're having a conversation, and it was basically, I don't know if he said this exactly, but it's that what's your intentions with my daughter kind of conversation of like, this is what I expect out of
I
you.
love that question.
I'm just wondering, like, it made me think about like, where do you think that stems from? Like the origin, like, how did that, where the guys, well, it's the conversation with the men, like, this is what you're going to provide for my daughter. I expect no less. Or what are your intentions? What's your plan for my daughter? Blah, blah, blah. Like, where do you think that comes from?
Oh, I think the whole father protector thing, when and I've never had a daughter, but if I did, I would imagine I probably would have treated her like a little princess. I know I would have treated her like a little princess. And so you don't want to see her marry just any old loser. You want
I know, but he was doing that thing that I said last season where it's like the parents are trying to be very aggressive, show their dominance. And I just don't like that. It's not necessary.
It's not, but I think it's human nature, and we can't get away from it. You just can't get away from it. You just want the best for your daughter, and so you want the guy that she's gonna be with to be on the ball. And I think guys have a certain, let's say, standard that they have for whoever's gonna marry their daughter. He has to be this, he has to be that, or at least have some potential. And the only way that you can do that is by talking to them and finding out what they have on the ball. And if you get that vibe of, yeah, this guy's a loser, just even so like maybe he might not have anything going on from now, but then if you like ask him like, where do you see yourself down the line? What do you got going on? He's like, well, I don't know. I just
Well, that's a legitimate question. I just think the dad seemed to be coming off very, in my opinion, very aggressive.
But he did state that she had a certain particular way of life or standard of living that she was accustomed to. And he was just like, are you going to be able to provide?
Which is really unfair. Just because you come from money or whatever the situation is, like, it doesn't mean that she can't fall in love with someone who doesn't make a lot of money. And for you to be like, you better be making tons of money because she wants to live this lifestyle.
I mean, look, all of them, right? All the parents, it seems like in this episode, maybe the ones even before, the parents were being very unfair. And they're almost like, it feels like they're trying to deter the partner from even going with them, right? Because I think like sometimes they'll say like, my son is very this way. My daughter is very this way. My son doesn't like this, or my son likes to run, or he likes to, he doesn't like to confront things. And it's like, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to convince me not to marry your daughter or your
I think
son?
it's very
Like,
hard
happening?
in this experiment for the parents to understand. And I get
They're giving
that.
away a lot.
Yeah.
They did it in the last season too, with even I know we're going back, but it's season 2, and they were talking about Danielle and Danielle's mom, and she's like, Danielle doesn't like this, and she can be very this way and very that way, and it's like, what do you? And I remember getting that too, where they were telling me, at the time, my fiance, they were telling me like, well, she likes to do this and she likes to do this. Like again, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying not to get married with her because your daughter is not a good person? I'm not sure I understand what exactly is happening here. So I don't know. I think parents can be sometimes a bit critical.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're intentionally. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, it did feel like a lot of the parents were sharing things about their child that they probably shouldn't have said. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question about Alexa's dad with the knives. And maybe I totally misunderstood this scenario, but was he insinuating that he was going to circumcise him?
He made a joke. Because remember, he was going to convert over to Judaism.
Yeah, but...
And he was like, I got for the, what is it called? Brisk, I think it's
yeah, but
called.
like...
It was a joke.
I know, but like, that...
I think that's part of it, though. He might have to, but I mean, obviously, you go to the doctor and get that done.
Yeah, I thought it was really strange and appropriate. You're
It was a
assuming
joke.
I didn't think it was funny at all, but I was like, wait, what? Like, Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna go full force. You're gonna go full force.
but yeah. Um, and then I had some
Love
thoughts
hurts,
about,
apparently.
yeah, really bad. About Bartice when he brought his family over to meet Nancy. So it was the parents and then his sister.
Yeah. He has a very pretty sister, by the way.
I actually, one of my girlfriends knows her. And
Oh,
I thought,
really?
yeah, I thought that
Wow.
was kind of funny. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like, because in case if you didn't know, or this is all in Dallas, so these are all Dallas people, but
D-Town.
D Town.
Yeah.
But Bartice and Nancy had a very difficult conversation about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
They had different views on that. Nancy was saying she's pro choice.
Mm-hmm.
Bartice was saying he's pro life.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a big problem with that, is what he said. My thing is that when his family came over, and his family is very against abortion as well,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew this, he brought it up in front of everybody to say, like, yeah, we had this conversation and Nancy doesn't agree with this, which I thought was really, he's setting it up. Because my feeling is that Bartice doesn't want to be with Nancy. He's trying to find ways to make it not work. And him bringing that up seems really, it's like a low blow, because now you're putting her on the spot to answer something that's already a difficult conversation anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like he knew that his family wasn't going to approve.
Well, okay. Yes. And I kind of, I see your point, and I even thought kind of the same thing. At the same time, it wasn't strictly just that conversation. There were other conversations that were had that was none of anybody else's business.
Right. That's
So the way I
why
look
would
at
he
it is
bring it up?
right. So that particular conversation about, how you feel or what your opinion is, that should be between them two, and then that's it. Right.
Right.
The fact that the family was there, and now they're asking her. Well, they weren't even asking her. She just it got heated, right? But there were other conversations where I think even in Brennan, when he was getting interviewed by Alexa's dad, he was asking him about, like, well, when's your longest relationship and when did that happen? And it's like, dude, that's none of your business. What are you talking about? Like, it's one thing to ask me if I plan on, supporting your daughter and whether I love her and this, that, and the other. But like, my previous relationships are none of your business. I would have been like, I'm not sure where the relevance is here. Like,
Yeah.
what are we trying to get at? Like, there's just some questions that sometimes get asked, but I've been in that situation before. I know I've said it before, but parents interview me all the time, brothers, uncles, all that stuff, intimidating me or threatening me or any of that stuff. Doesn't work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. But I think
For
he
a
did.
young person, it might. For if you were in your 20s, I'm
Yeah.
sure it works.
Yeah, maybe. I suppose it didn't work too much for me back then.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the majority of, I mean, when you're young, you're unsure about a lot of things. And if you have someone being like very authoritative father saying you better
Now,
do.
these guys millennials or Gen Zs? I can't remember. We'll have to look that up, but obviously it's a very different set of group of people here that we're seeing, because they keep on getting younger, right? So the original show, when it came out, that was what, maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, we're on season 3, so I guess when they start filming, you mean. Yeah.
So like it was a while ago. It was a while back, whatever. So these
I
are a
remember
little
the
bit
Gen
different.
Z. Isn't the Gen Z 1990 or 92 or something?
I don't know. They're in their 20s right now. That's what I do
Oh,
know.
that's true. Because I'm thinking like Brennan, isn't he like 32 or something? He's a little bit older.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
But anyways, there's a lot of questions that get thrown at you. Like I said, I don't think it's just that, but I don't know why, but the family starts asking a bunch of other questions that have
Yeah.
nothing to do. And I get that they're trying to get to know me, but come on.
It just feels like if I had a private conversation with my fiance about something really controversial, whatever it is, and then you bring that up the first time I'm meeting your family, knowing that they're going to be judging me on that because the sister started crying. That's how against she was.
I know,
And it's like, but he knew that. I think he was very malicious. And he's, again, trying to, and you see him when they cut to camera throughout these episodes, he's like, all these things keep popping up and I'm trying, but there's a whole bucket of problems. It's like, no, bro, there's not a bucket of problems. You're trying to create problems when there is none, or maybe a little bit, but you're blowing it up.
It's funny how some of those problems could be alleviated if they were blonde and tall.
Yeah, they wouldn't
and
matter
fit.
anymore.
For some reason, all those other
Yeah.
things might be less problematic.
I wonder what if he did choose
I'm
Raven,
kidding, but yeah.
like how Raven is. She seems very wants to be in control in the relationship, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just saying that like, how would he do then?
It is a bad. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's okay to say, like, this is what I want if you're the type of person that can be with someone like that. But if Raven said, like, oh, I'm pro choice, would he have even said, and he'd be like,
Look,
yeah, me too, baby.
I think, and I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong about a lot of things, but I do feel like people will put up with a lot more if the other person is just more
Oh, I
attractive.
100% agree with you. I don't think you're wrong at all.
Because I guess you can't be both, right? You
Yeah.
can't be unattractive and a jerk. You could be one or the other. You could be
Yeah.
attractive and jerk, or you could be not a jerk and unattractive.
You know
But you
what
can't
made
be
me
both.
think of, if sorry for anyone who hasn't seen season 2, but Shayna, when she took Kyle to meet her family, she had already told him that he wasn't religious. He didn't believe in God and all that stuff. Again,
Look
you
at you
are
seeing a pattern. You little detective, you.
Watson.
Are you implying that they're sabotaging the
But
first
it's
time that
really
they...
unfair because you don't want to be with that person and you're like, I know how to like make it seem like this is a bigger deal or whatever. Like I said, I think that Bartiz did that maliciously. It wasn't necessary to bring up abortion over dinner the first time you meet the parents. That was really messed up.
I mean,
I don't agree with that at all.
look, he was talking about it freely, and you got to be, whatever your opinions are. Again, some people like to keep that private, and they both seem to have very strong feelings about it, one way or the other. I will say this, and this is the only thing that I will say: opinions change. Mine over the years have changed. I used to be dead set against certain things, and I'm like, no, I believe this. And then over time, as I got more information, I had to alter my opinion on that. I was
Right.
like, well, okay, I've seen a different point of view. Now I understand it, and it's not so black and white. It's a lot of grays. But, anytime you share your opinion with other people, especially if it's not somebody that loves you unconditionally or your partner or whatever, you run that risk is that, okay, now you're putting it out there. And you will get judged because everybody has a value system and everybody thinks differently and they're not going to agree with you. So sometimes you just have to, that's your stance, right? It's like, okay, this is what I believe. But yeah, anytime you put your opinion out there, you run the risk of being judged and, things might not always work out. But what's your alternative?
I know, but it feels like the family and all the friends. So that's another part of these episodes, are meeting friends and family. Because it made me think of when Raven and SK went to go meet her friends. It's almost like everybody that's not those two people is trying to sabotage the relationship. Here's all the reasons why it's not going to work. So
all doing
Raven's
that.
girlfriends were like, "How are you?" Because so SK he's going to go to school in California, so he's going to be leaving like 2 months after they get married. And the girls are like, "Yeah, she goes out all the time. Like, how you going to deal with that?" And
You're
what do you?
robbing her.
Yeah,
You're robbing her of her
fairy
magical
tale, whatever.
fairy tale.
Yeah. But it's really, and I think the same thing with Alexa's friends.
I'm sorry. It's that SK, that SOB, man. He's robbing her of her fantasy. I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought that was funny. It's not
Yeah.
funny. Everybody deserves it.
But yeah, so
Great
Alexa's
fantasy, but-
friends were doing the same thing to Brennan. It's almost like everyone's trying to plant all these seeds of doubt and like, well, she's like this. How are you going to deal? And it's like, well, in any relationship, you're going to have to deal with the other person's XYZ.
This is
Not new.
and that's an interesting thing because which by the way, just real quick side note before I make my point on this, I think I've been to that restaurant.
Which one?
Where they
Oh, I Declare?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Declare. I think I've been there before.
Yeah, it's funny because the apartments are in Addison, which I used to live there. And so all these, like, they show a lot of downtown, which I think is funny because they're not really downtown.
not really downtown,
But
no.
yeah, they were at a local spot that I've been to several times. Every time I see on this season, I'm like, oh, I've been there.
And it was during the heat. I can tell that much when they filmed it because you could see the
Texas
mist.
heat.
Yeah, in a different scene with Andrew, you could see him sweating really bad
Oh
because
yeah, when they were
it was
Greenville
hot. Yeah,
Avenue. Yeah.
because it was during the heat wave thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, but I digress. But no, so what I will say is this, and this is funny. Maybe this has just been my experience. Whenever I introduce people to, when I introduce a partner to my friends, they usually end up telling them just how good I am,
Hmm.
which is a great thing. You now every now and again they will give them warnings,
Hmm.
but only in such a way to prepare them for the way I am.
Or it's
So,
a little playful.
well, like for instance, like I remember one time I had a girlfriend and I had to meet a few of my friends. We went out
Hmm.
to drinks, and I think it was actually there at I Declare, and honestly, I really do think it was there. And so we were there, and I brought her, and this was the first time I brought her to that group.
Uh-huh.
And they were telling her, like, yeah, you know, like Jose can sometimes be this way, but make no mistake about it, he really cares about you because if just the fact that you're here. So, in other words, saying, don't misinterpret what I do
Yeah.
because I have my little quirks, but don't think that that he feels any less towards you or that he doesn't
Yeah.
like you or anything like that. So that sort of stuff I do understand. But yes, that other thing of like making you feel like you're not good enough and
I don't understand that. It's so weird because
it's just like, dang,
if
okay,
I
great.
took my significant other to meet my friends for the first time, like I wouldn't want, I don't know, it just seems hurtful to the friend. Like you're trying to hurt your relationship by saying, here's all the reasons why it won't work, or saying things about your own friend of like, it's not going to work because of XYZ. You should be talking up your friends. Like to your point, it's like, yeah, Jose's great. And this one time
You would
we went
think.
here and he's such a great guy. Like all these examples, like you're trying to make it where they, and especially in a new relationship, you start
Yeah.
off on a good foot.
I
Like,
mean, my whole thing with that is because even then afterwards, I think, and I could be wrong, but I thought they gave their opinion of they're like, I don't think it's gonna work or something like
yeah,
that.
they
Like,
did when they were interviewing
and
them
I'm
too.
just like, who are you?
Yeah, they seemed mad.
How I know what? It's not so much as that, but it's just like what I mean by that. I don't mean like obviously she is who she is, but like if you're that clairvoyant, can you give me like the lottery numbers because that would be a lot useful of whether or not a relationship works out or not.
Mm,
Like okay, great, like great Houdini or not Houdini, but whatever fortune teller it is. But my whole thing is that you don't know.
yeah.
So why would you put that out there? Like you're already, why you would say that about somebody that's quote unquote your friend. That just I couldn't imagine if a buddy of mine was saying, "Hey, I'm gonna marry this girl," and then I'm over here telling her why it's not gonna work,
Mm.
and then being interviewed on camera, and I'm thinking, "Yeah, that's not gonna work. They're not gonna make it. They're just doomed to break up." Sorry,
I feel like
that's just horrible.
there's a misconception with, and I get where her girlfriends are coming from in the sense of like they like, well, we know Raven. Sure, that's your friend. But you and I have both had several relationships. You're a little bit different in every relationship. How do you know that Raven and SK won't work? Because you don't know him. You don't know
Right.
Raven with SK. So for you to say that it's not going to work, like we're all different. You have no way of knowing that just because you know Raven and that's your friend.
Well, and here's the other thing, and this is the part that, and maybe that's just the relationship that they have, right? So I know we've been talking about it. I know we talked about it in the other episode in regards to honesty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Cole being a little too honest, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
his delivery
Mm-hmm.
is a little too rough. They're the same way. And if that's the way they are, then that's the way they are. So if their delivery is like, look, I'm just going to tell you straight, this is what it is, so be it. Good for you. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Mm.
But again, if that's the way they are, because their delivery was very sorry, it's not going to work. And it happened in the last season too with what was her name? With Sal and
Mallory?
yeah,
Oh,
with
the
her sister.
sister?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and her sister's like, yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, angry.
Yeah, very very angry. But that's what I'm saying. If that's the type of brutal honesty that they have, then so be it. But in my opinion, I can take that to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
I could take brutal honesty, but just understand it works both ways too.
Yeah.
So because you're giving your opinion on something and it's brutally honest of what you feel and what you think, if I guarantee you that those two girls, if they found somebody that they loved and they cared about and they were marrying, and Raven was like, nope, you guys are destined to be divorced. It's not going to work. telling you they would feel a certain kind of way about that. Because who wants to hear that nonsense?
Right.
Like, I want honesty, but like, you putting bad juju on me now.
Yeah.
That's just, how do you know? Who are you to say that? Like, you're not that clairvoyant. Like,
Yeah.
what is that? I don't understand. There's a lot of people that I thought weren't going to make it, and they make it. It's like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't.
some of the people from season 1. What was that couple? Barnett and Amber or whatever. I'm surprised they're still together.
Love is blind in that
Yeah.
case.
But we saw a different version of that with Matt's mother and Brennan's mother. It was very soft, but it was almost like they were telling the girls, like, please don't hurt my son, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Pleading with them. But it's like, you're taking a chance when you're going to get married. It's very possible that you're going to get hurt. Like,
Yeah. I mean, don't get me started on that. About
no,
being
let's
all
get.
in.
Oh,
being
yeah, that's
committed.
right. But what do you
get
feel
me started
about
on
the
that.
mothers doing that kind of approach? It was very
Well,
soft and sweet. They seemed very nice, but
Well, it's funny because I don't know. Again, the dynamics between mothers and daughters is different than mothers and sons.
yeah,
So where the father is trying to protect the daughter, I think the mother sometimes is trying to protect the son.
yeah,
But then whenever you see sometimes mothers and daughters, they seem to be critical of their daughters quite often, but not like so. Nancy's mom is somewhat supportive, but again, she keeps on saying things that she shouldn't be saying.
she
like,
came off very aggressive too.
well, she kept on saying like, well, what if I'm trying not to get mad in case he says no, and it's like, stop saying that.
Yeah.
Stop saying that he's gonna say no. Like she said it a couple of times or whatever, and they're very skeptical of
Yeah.
Bartiz. And I've been at a wedding before where people were skeptical of the bride and groom, and they were vocal about it. I don't know if it got back to them, but I most certainly heard it. And I just kind of feel like you can't do that. It's so much bad. You're supposed to be here celebrating. I'll just put it to you this way. To Cole's parents, I think they take the right approach to say, you know what, we're not going to go to this thing. Right. But afterwards, if you want to meet,
Yeah, this is legit. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I don't support it, and it's great because I kind of feel like, great, if you don't support it, don't come.
Right. Don't come on and bash your kid or say it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I would say that to anybody. If I'm getting married to somebody and somebody's like, nope, I don't think you guys are right, I can't support it, great, don't come. It won't hurt my feelings at all. If anything, it'll make me feel better because I don't want that negative energy here. I want to try to make this thing work, and I don't need you with your negative stuff. Like, and again, me, I'm very combative, and it's like, I don't care what you think anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think in friendships, like we can talk about, if you're having issues with your girlfriend and you come to me and we're talking about it, and, if I have certain opinions, but you have to base it on what you know about the other person. I'm just saying that sometimes friends or family, that influence, we talked about that the last episode, is like it can influence you if they don't accept you and they're constantly like, it's not going to work, he's not the one, blah blah blah. If you hear that all the time, but it seems like in this season there's a lot of that, even with like Nancy's brothers, that whole conversation they had with Bartiz, it's everybody is giving their opinions, very bold, and telling them why it's not going to work.
My feelings are on that. My feelings on that because, people at the end of the day, right? It's really between, and well, let me rephrase that. If you look at a relationship between me and another person, right? And I'm going back to the whole commitment thing. If I'm committed to you and you're committed to me, 100%, both of us, and we're committed to each other, chances are we're going to make it. If, however, we're not, and we let that seed of doubt go in there, we start listening to other people, we start paying attention to what they're saying, they're basically going to be projecting their own insecurities on me, and saying this, that, and the other. And if you let that affect you, then yeah, you're going to be doomed. Because now you got that seed of doubt that's been planted. Now you got to contend with that. Now you start looking at your spouse differently or your partner differently. Yeah, maybe I can do better. Yeah, maybe you're not on the ball. Man, maybe okay, now you're letting other people affect whatever. If these people are what they say they are, they're independent, it shouldn't matter what anybody else says. And for me, and that's what I was saying, because um I know my own mother, when she was married, her mother-in-law didn't like her and was not shy about expressing her feelings about how much she did not like my mother.
Yeah.
So they're around each other constantly. So to hear that, yeah, my mom was like, I'm out of here. She didn't leave him, but she convinced my dad, let's move to the United States, because she didn't want to be around that all day
Yeah.
long. And so, they ended up moving. But my point being is that, yeah, if I'm married to somebody and I'm going to bring her around and the people are not accepting, I'm sorry, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore, because I made a commitment to this person. I'm married to this person. I've committed my love, my time, my soul, everything to this person. So yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
You have to, because that's the only way you're going to give it a chance. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You're going to listen to other people dictate and put thought. I mean, it might not work for you, good for you, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
They just can't. They just can't make that assessment. And if they were really your true friends, me personally, I think they would be happy for you. And it's almost like they're wishing that things go bad so that they can say, oh, I told you so.
Yeah. Yeah. If my friend was happy, then I'm going to support that. If you're not happy and you're coming to me for advice, then I would say, like, well, here's what I see, because you're coming to me. But yeah, if they're super happy, I'm not going to be dogging their new girlfriend or boyfriend and be like, oh, like, whatever. But yeah, so later they go to Greenville Avenue at the Granada.
Oh, is that where that was?
Yes.
All right.
Another local spot.
Is that where everybody showed up?
Yes.
Andrew showed up?
Yes. There was a lot of things that happened that night. There was a lot of fights, there was a lot. But again, we can't talk about everything. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is Zenab is still mad at Cole for being attracted to Colleen. I can't remember exactly how it came up again, but she went to go talk to Matt about it and got them both reheated about that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then so Matt went to Colleen and Zenab went to Cole, and they started fighting about something that should have been squashed already. If you have that much of a pull to bring it up again, don't do it while you're out in public with everybody
Drinking?
there. Like, yeah,
Let's add
why
drinking
couldn't
to it,
they
because
just...
that makes everything better when you're at drinks
Oh,
and emotion.
absolutely.
Emotions and drink and alcohol. Like, what?
Why
That's a
couldn't
recipe
they wait
for
till
happiness.
they got to the apartment? If you really want to bring it up again, which I don't agree that they should have, because they did squash it, but it just put the other two people, because I think Colleen was like, are you serious? Like, we're talking about this again and we've already squashed this. So
Yeah, the people that committed the error
Yeah.
don't want to talk about it anymore, which is Cole and Colleen. They don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it anymore.
Let's pretend it didn't happen.
Yes, are we over this? And they really want to get over it pretty quickly, but their significant others do not.
Yeah. And in case
wanna
you
get
didn't
over
see
that.
it, there was a pool party previous, and Colleen and Cole were being very flirty. And
But okay, so here's the thing, right? So it was an inappropriate conversation is what it was, right? Flirty or not, let's just say it was just inappropriate. It doesn't matter. But what I will say is this: what exactly does Zainab and Matt want? That's the part that I can't quite figure out.
Yeah.
I get that they were hurt. I get that they were jealous, and I get that they both have trauma from the past. But what is it that they want to have resolved?
yeah.
Because it's done, right? But they keep on harping on it.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it.
Yeah, because when they did that little thing, I don't remember what episode it was. It was, I guess maybe they were still on their honeymoon, and Nick and Vanessa Lachey came out, and Matt had admitted, he's like, yeah, we had a little tiff the night before.
A bump in the road
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
And, he said that they it got heated. They didn't really understand each other. The next day they talked it all out and whatever. But him going to her at the Granada and being like, yeah, man, I'm still mad about it, or however he came up with it, I was just like, it's so like
Jealousy. I don't know. Insecurities and jealousy.
Yeah.
We need to do a podcast on those
We
two.
do.
Because jealousy. jealousy. It has so many different shapes and forms, and it makes itself present in so many different ways. Again,
Yeah.
I get that they're hurt. I think, oh God, I don't know. This is the part that they didn't know about each other, right? I don't know that Cole knew just how jealous and the different insecurities that Zainab had. Maybe that should have been some of the questions in.
Yeah, like in the pod, maybe
Yes.
she should have.
Because I will say this, right? In the previous season, Danielle and who did she end up with? Danielle and
Nick.
Nick, yes. Nick knew she had a lot of insecurities.
Right.
So he treated that with kid gloves because he knew that, okay, she's got, so he would have never in
Oh,
his
no.
life said something like, oh, so-and-so is super pretty. Like he knew better.
Yeah.
He would have known not to say that. But maybe that's something that they should have probed a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's like, how much of an insecurity do you have? How much trauma? Now, I will say this, and this is where Colleen made a huge error because she knew about Matt's past and how he had been betrayed. She should have known better that this guy had some really bad trauma.
Yeah.
So if he has bad trauma, you might want to be very careful in how you interact with other men around him, or that it's going to come back to him.
Yeah.
Because he's been hurt.
Yeah. If you're dating someone that was married and their partner, they had an affair or whatever, if you're the next person that they're dating, you better know going in, I need to make sure that I don't do anything or say anything that seems like that, because
You
you
gotta be
already know they're
careful.
going to have that.
You got to be careful. Like if you're dating a person and their parents died in a plane accident, you're not going to be like, hey, let's go fly across the world
Right.
together. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really not a fan of flying, and here's the reason why. So yeah, I think she misstepped quite a bit. And I think here's the other part that I think is, I think Matt and Nancy both got into this with genuine, intentions to find love.
Right. Open heart, open mind.
I really do. Like out of all those people, and
I think
don't know
Brennan
about
did too.
I don't know about Zainab. Yeah, Brennan I think is one of them too. I think they went into it with a genuine intent of finding somebody that they cared about and they really wanted to make that connection. I'm not saying about the other ones that they didn't. I'm just saying I feel that genuineness from
Right.
those two, right?
I concur.
And so with that, I think that for them it's not a game, right? So for them, and I think
This is real life.
yes, and I think maybe, and I don't know them for sure, but I think Colleen and maybe Cole, they did want it, but they're also kind of playing around a little bit. I know
Yeah.
Cole is young. I can't remember. I think he's like 25 or something.
Yeah.
And so they're still kind of playing around. And
So is Colleen.
is
Very
she?
young.
Yeah, she's young, but it's like they don't know. You can't. Again, for Natalie, she's older. She's in her 30s. She's been married, I think, before. She's had relationships. So she knows what's appropriate and what's not. And she's been messed around on. Same thing with Matt. He's a little older. He also understands that, this is it. And you don't play around and like you squash these things. And I think those two just had inexperience in dealing with people that have had trauma in their
Do you think
past.
that Zainab said anything about all of her insecurities in the pod, or did they edit that out? Let's just say she didn't bring it up at all because she didn't want us. She didn't want that to be a reason Cole wouldn't be into her. So she could have just pretended like, yeah, I'm confident and this and that. But then that's not really the case.
I don't remember her talking about a lot of her insecurities. She was
That's what
talking
I'm
about being a
saying.
flight attendant, having fun, and going doing this. and
Right.
going
But they
doing
could have
that.
cut that out. I'm just saying, like, if I give her the benefit of the doubt, let's say that she maybe did tell him, or let's play both ways. She did tell him or she didn't. It's just like when you start in a new relationship, I'd say most of the time, you're not going to come out the gate with, here's all the reasons why I messed up. Let me tell you everything. Most of the time, you learn that stuff way later, like 3 months in, and you're like, wait, what? And you tell something crazy. Sometimes they tell you, but I'm just saying that like most
Oh, you
people are going to
can
be on
read
their
between
best
the lines.
behavior and they're going to be really sweet and nice and caring. And then like 6 months in, they start to show their
beast
true
comes
colors.
out.
Yeah. Zainab, I don't know. The way she was acting, at the Granada was very aggressive and mean. And she was like, well, go be with Colleen and this and that. It just was really
She was
nasty.
upset. Sometimes she has some passive aggressive stuff.
Can I talk about her top though? How cute she looked. Do you remember her outfit?
I don't.
Oh, it was super cute.
Was it?
Yeah. Anyways, it was like a corset kind of thing. And it was like, she looked very beautiful that night.
Okay.
But anyways.
I like corsets. Yeah, I think, and here's what I think happens sometimes. Because she was like, it's one of those things when you start, I've been in situations where I've been in an argument and it starts getting heated and I know it's getting heated and I don't want it to get heated. And at the same time, I can't help myself. And I keep on getting heated.
It's hard to bite your tongue.
Yeah, because she even said, I don't want to be that couple. But he's like, we are that couple.
Right.
We're sitting here arguing.
Making it.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, you're making it that way. And he's like, he's absolutely right. And maybe at that point, as soon as they identified it, they should have said, look, let's go take a walk.
Yeah.
Let's go take a walk. Let's just stop right here before we go any further.
Right.
Let's just go take a walk. Let's go cool off.
Right.
Instead, they keep on going at it. And they keep on, he's like, well, maybe we should, because Cole said something stupid, like, maybe we should just switch or swap couples. I think that was a Freudian slip, but that's just me. That's just me. I think it was a Freudian. Although, I don't know, if I entertain Matt and Zainab and Cole and Colleen, it might work. It might work. I mean, Matt has a lot on the ball. He's an aerospace VP and stuff. And,
I don't really care for Matt. I don't.
Really? Matt's my favorite.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he has his issues.
I think he has anger issues.
He definitely has anger issues.
Yeah, he can't control himself. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Matt.
Well, it's not so much, and anger being one of them. I think he's emotional and he can't control those emotions. He always comes off as he's got it under control, but he really doesn't.
Well, even when he's playful, I still don't like it. There's something about, like, even when he's playful with Colleen, it's like, ugh, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is exactly. It seems like fake, but I know it's not. I don't know.
I probably relate to Matt the most out of all of them.
Oh.
I see a lot of myself in Matt. And so not so much now, but in losing it sometimes whenever I get too emotional.
Yeah.
And also not dealing with certain things and pretending like I have it under control.
I think we can all relate to Matt in that way then.
Yeah, because there's been plenty of times when I feel like, oh yeah, I got it under control. I got it. In reality, I don't.
Yeah, because we all want to seem like we're tougher than what we really are. I always thought that I was pretty tough emotionally, but then as I got older, I was like, I cry at every wedding. I cry at like just weird things. And I'm like, why am I so emotional? I'm not as tough as I thought that I was.
Oh, if my thoughts on that. Emotions, they're all there. You can only keep them under wraps for so long. They have to come out one way or the other. They're going to manifest themselves. But I don't know, maybe Matt would do better with a person like Nancy, who's a little more caring and a little more.
She's very in it and sweet. Yeah.
I think with that personality, I don't know if they would be attracted to one another.
I wonder if they had any chemistry in the pod. Did they say?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But again, and I was kind of exploring this idea with you earlier, which is to say the physical part makes a big difference. Yeah. It's like the way you physically look. So your personality might jive with a guy that's not so attractive. And so you guys jive, but because you're not physically attracted, you would never know to never explore that. And same thing with a guy, right? So if a guy is not attracted to a certain type of woman, right, physically attracted, he might not take the time to get to know her. They might be perfect for one another. Emotionally, like they would be set if he could just get past the looks thing. Like I think, who was it that said that? When Raven and Bartiz were talking, she made an interesting comment. She said, well, I don't talk to guys, and you look like you're a guy that wouldn't go talk to girls either.
So we'd
never meet because we're both of the opinion that women or men should come and talk to me. I don't go and talk to them. That's weird. I'm not saying that they'd be good for each other. Maybe they would. I don't know. But my point being is that that's out of it's just such a weird thing, right? Let's just say we took looks out of all of them. Yeah, I think love would be blind if you had no physical interaction with one another. But because they do, and you have to deal with the physical part, the whatever you look like, it doesn't matter if you guys' personality were perfect for one another. You'll never explore it because you don't.
Yeah, but even a lot of the couples that did match up on this season, if you take the looks out of it 100%, I don't think the personalities would jive long term either. Like I don't know what like the connection that Zenab and Cole apparently had in the pods. Like I if even if they were both super attracted to each other, I don't think that their personalities would mix. I just don't. And
Yeah,
Bartice and Nancy, same thing. I just don't see it.
I think that. So for Zainab and Cole, maybe not. Only because, but Cole was never. He never came off as very serious, anyways.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. How she was attracted to that. Maybe she wants to. The idea of being with someone like that who's so opposite from you is like attractive, but to actually be, because Zenab seems very serious and Cole is extremely playful. I'm not saying it can't ever work, but for them to their person, I just don't see. Like I said, even if she looked like Colleen but had her personality, I just don't know.
I don't know. I think what ends up happening with people is that, let's say you're an introvert, right? And the other person's an extrovert. You're attracted to that person because they are what you don't have. And I get that. But then you have to run into the problem of, okay, I want to stay in. I've been around people all day long. I don't want to go out. I need to be kind of decompressed for a little bit. But this person who is the opposite of me wants to go out, and they want to be out and about with a crowd and drinking, and it's noisy and it's smoky or whatever. Now, what do you do? It's like, yeah, you're attracted to that for a certain point, but
Right.
now you're back to
Yeah.
the real world. And it's like, well, you can't do it. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes that happens and it happens for both men and women, that let's just say you find somebody that's fun loving and outgoing and you're like,
Life of
oh
the
man,
party.
yeah, it's like, it's awesome. But then they don't know how to turn that off.
Right.
And then you get home and you see his house, which looks like squatters have been living there. Sorry, Cole. But that was a nasty apartment. It
Yeah.
was just horrible. And he looks like he didn't have any cleaning products in the house. I mean, come on, can you get some wipes, some Clorox wipes maybe?
He doesn't know what that is.
I mean, something. But my point being is that, like, what did you think you were going to get? Again, if
Yeah.
I go out and I find somebody that's a party girl, and nothing wrong with them, but she's a party girl.
You gotta
I
know
can't
what you're
expect
getting
her.
into.
Yeah, I can't expect her to go home. It's like, hey, you might clean up after yourself. She's like, I don't do that. I'm looking for different outfits. I got clothes all over the place, and until I find something that I like, that's what I'm like.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
dated
but
enough to
come on.
know that if I met a 25-year-old, you know, super outgoing party guy, kind of like Cole or whatever, I already know what his apartment's going to look like. I'm not going over there expecting it to be clean or have real furniture and blah, blah, blah. No, they're sleeping on a mattress.
Well,
I already know.
It's interesting that you said that, because Nancy with Bartiz said that early on, is that he's young. And under normal circumstances, in which she was using the logical side of her brain, she was saying, I would never go for a young guy for X amount of reasons, which unfortunately now, like, you're seeing that she was right when because she was like, I would have never, as soon as I found out he was 20 something,
Yeah,
I
because
would
now
have
you
been
got
out.
25-year-old problems on your hand.
Exactly. And she's like, I'm in a different stage in my life. I'm
Right.
older, I'm more established. I want to settle down, blah, blah, blah. And so she was thinking very logically, and why she ended up going and taking the plunge anyways, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
she kind of knew that he was gonna. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that I'm trying to give people a benefit of the doubt, but if I know how I am and the type of attitude that I have, to that point, right? If I met a woman and I was head over heels over her, but she was a party girl, I know I'm not going to be able to make that
Right.
work long term. I just can't,
Right.
because I'm not that way. Unless somehow we figure out a way where she goes out and I stay home.
Yeah.
But even then, it's going to have its own obstacles. So it's like, but again, that's why I date people my age. But
We talked about that before when I was talking about Andrew and how he travels all the time. And I was saying that wouldn't be, I know that I can't be in a relationship with someone who travels for work because I want them here. But it's a good segue. Andrew, the guy with the fake tears, he came back. So he was
he had something
there.
in his eye. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That guy.
But there was a scene
Class
where he
act
was
all around.
talking to Nancy, and Nancy
He
was
stole her
getting
away. He said, "Hey, can I steal you away a little bit?" And she was like, "All right."
sure. But Nancy opened up to Andrew about some of the issues that she's having with Bartice not really being attracted to her and blah, blah, blah. And then Bartice gets really jealous, which was weird.
Hold on a second, though. But I just want to point something out, right? So Andrew, obviously, he had proposed to Nancy.
Yeah.
And before that time, he was recapping to his buddies what had happened. And Bartice was there too. He was recapping to him, like, because Bartice asked him, which I thought was kind of a dick move to do. But he was like, "Tell me about your
Yeah.
proposal." I'm like, "What? Why do you
Yeah.
want to hear about me proposing to a woman that shot me down that you ended up marrying? Like, what are you? How much of an ego are you trying to stroke
Yeah.
here, buddy?
It was very
like, are you
jerky.
serious? You know what I mean? Like, so to for anybody that hasn't heard it, right? So again, Andrew had proposed to Nancy. Nancy told Andrew no, and then told Bartice yes. But I thought that was the biggest, like, you're a piece of
Yeah.
dog crap. Because it's like, why would you do that, dude? Like, okay, so anyways, so Andrew goes on and he strokes Bartice's ego, like, yeah, she shot me down. And then she told you yes, which made him all happy. I think Andrew was like, gotcha. I got you. It's like, okay, because Andrew's not dumb either. Obviously, this was weird among men because men typically don't do that. When I saw that, I thought that was the weirdest thing I had ever saw. So if I ever met my ex-wife's boyfriend, I wouldn't have I would never have a conversation with him about her.
Right.
Because that has nothing. I probably wouldn't have a conversation with them, period. But we're still not going to recount that part of it. Or let's say we all, as a group of friends.
You're not going to compare notes.
No, or let's say it was a group of friends and me and another guy was going after the same girl and we knew each other. We're still not going to talk about how she turned me down to go with you.
Right.
We're not going to talk about that. I can still be friends and we can still kick it, but we're not going to talk about that. So anyways, I just thought that was a very weird. So anyways, he takes her away and he's like, okay, I'm going to steal you away. And what was funny about that is that when she starts talking about the problems that they're having, you saw the biggest smile on Andrew's face because Andrew knows, like, nothing sounds better to a guy than when a girl is complaining about her boyfriend or her husband, especially if the guy really wants to get with her. Like, if they're genuine friends, he doesn't want to hear that, like, hey, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay. But he knows what he was doing. And he had the biggest grin, like, yes, tell me more. And of course, he was just like, I would be there for you if you ever need me and blah, 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 blah. But that's my point, is that, like, I get it. Nancy needed to talk to somebody. But that's how these things happen. It's like she needs to talk to somebody. She's vulnerable. Andrew steps in at the right time in the right place to pounce on that vulnerability. But you're right. So they're talking, and then all of a sudden Bartice shows up. Like, what's going on, guys? What's happening? You could tell he was drinking too.
And, well, he took Andrew's drink to be very aggressive as well.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
I didn't see that
He took
part.
his drink and took a drink out of it. And then when he left, he took Andrew's drink.
I think he might have just been drunk.
No, I think he did that as a power move of, like, I that's what I believe. Like, I got you. Because I've talked about this with other people and they felt the same way.
I got to go back and read. I mean, I
Yeah.
got to go back and watch that scene again. I think he was drunk. He wasn't in his right mind.
No, I think he did it to, like, show his power in that conversation.
He could have just ordered another drink, but okay.
No, I think it was that's if I was in that situation and I wanted to be a B, I would take that girl's drink too. I'll take your lemon drop or whatever. Whatever drink. Like, you got to watch it again. I'm telling you, I think he did that purposely.
Oh, I'm trying to think if I would ever do that. I don't think I ever would.
No, I don't think I would. But I'm just saying, if you're trying to show, because obviously Bartice felt threatened by that. And because,
But
Andrew's a
he's the one that was
good-looking
saying,
guy.
yeah, but he was the one that was saying that he's not physically attracted to Nancy. All of a sudden he's attracted to Nancy all of a
but
sudden?
it's his property and someone else is showing it attention. It's like, I don't want her, but no one else is going to be, this is mine. It's all ego. It's nothing to do with Nancy, unfortunately.
I would say this much. If If I was in that situation and I was Bartiz and I didn't really particularly care for Nancy, I really wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay. If I really, really cared about her, and this is the funny part, I don't think she would. She would know, and I don't think she would have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
Or it would be much more of a, if I really trusted her, like Raven kind of shuts it down or whatever. But
Yeah.
he
Well, I
was
think that
obviously insecure about it.
yeah, if
He went out
Bartiz
there.
was treating her right, I don't think that she would have had that conversation. If she was really happy with Bartiz, but she wasn't. She's hurt because Bartiz had made it known, basically, I'm not attracted to you. And here's all these things. He's being very distant. And,
But and it's always like that too. So like he's saying he's not attracted to her. Okay, great. Somebody else will be.
yeah.
Of that I promise you. And somebody's gonna want that. Like okay, but
Yeah.
he has a different. I guess he has a type, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Tall and blonde.
I just kind of wanted to jump over to episode 8. There was one thing that happened that I thought was interesting. Raven and SK, when they were cleaning, they were just talking about, I think the night before, it might have been the Granada night. And Raven was saying about how there was a lot of drama in other people's relationships, And it's kind of funny because anytime I've been in a relationship and you go to an event and there's couples there and they're fighting or doing all this crazy stuff or whatever, I have those conversations too with my partner of like, man, did you see how messed up? It almost makes you feel better about your relationship when you see like it could be really bad, but we have it really good. So SK and Raven haven't really come up with a lot of hiccups yet. They're both very nice to each other and that kind of thing. So it just like, it's kind of like if I went out to dinner with other couples, like I said, on the ride home, we're talking about the night and we may be talking about other dynamics, other relationships. Does that make you feel better about your relationship when you see how crazy it could be or how bad it could be? It's almost like a reminder of how you need to appreciate your woman, because like if you have a good relationship and you see all that bad stuff, like I said, it's going to make you feel like, I really love this girl and we have a very healthy relationship.
No, I don't think that at all.
You don't ever talk to your partner about other people's relationships? Like when you were married, did you guys have any friends, coworkers, relatives, anyone else that had a toxic relationship that you went out somewhere and they had some blow up, like the Granada, all this stuff was going on? And then you go to your wife and let's say, you guys are happy and everything's cool. And you're like, wow, did you see Dan and his wife? Like, wow, that's terrible. Like, at least we're.
No, I don't ever do that. I think that's dangerous. I think that's extremely dangerous when you do that because, so for SK and Raven, because who does that a lot is Alexa. She's constantly.
Look how great ours is.
Yeah, and it's only great because Brennan bends to everything that she says, and that would be a great relationship. So if I was with a female and she did everything that I wanted, everything, yeah, look how great our relationship is. Is it? Like you're getting everything you want. Don't get me wrong, but like, does that mean your relationship is great? Because guess what? That other person might not be as happy as you are. And instead of you focusing on those two, you really should be paying, because SK and Raven are not. So they're having this was funny because in that same episode, they went looking for wedding dresses. And SK's mom was talking to Raven saying, you need to be submissive. Even if you make more money in Nigerian culture, you need to be submissive to your husband. You need to have food. And she's all like, what? And then that's where that conversation, because they're cleaning up, and she's like, I don't want that. I don't want this traditional life, blah, blah, blah. And SK, again, he's giving her everything that she wants. So he's the version of Brennan. But you can see he's not sharing everything. He's and even Raven's friends had made the same comment about SK. He's just going along with everything she's saying right now. Maybe like we talked about her, because she's such an attractive, beautiful woman. But that by no means implies that your relationship is great. He's just trying not to cause any waves. And it's just like, okay. So I think that's dangerous. So I typically do not, in general, talk about other couples, especially if they had a bad night. So if we've all gone out and that couple had a bad night and they were arguing because of something that had nothing to do with me or nothing to do with us, like that's something that happened, and I've been on the other end of that. So I've
Yeah,
been
me too. I'm not saying I would harp on that.
so, but by no means am I going to say, hey, look at our relationship is much better. It's like, you don't know. They might have the best relationship in the world, and maybe they'll stay together way longer than we do. It's volatile for sure, and I wouldn't want it. But if it works for them, good for them.
Well,
Like
I
keep
don't
it
mean,
keep it
I'm
going.
just meaning people like when if I talk to one of my girlfriends that's in a bad relationship and she's telling me all these things she's having to deal with, in my mind, if I'm in a good, healthy relationship, it only makes me feel more grateful of that. I'm just saying it's
Yeah,
like a reminder of like, yeah, I
I'm
could be in a
grateful. Yeah, I
real.
just don't talk about it.
Well, I'm just saying, I think talking about other
I'd be like, baby,
couples,
you're the best. Oh my gosh, I want to be with you so much. But yeah,
I think talking about other couples is a very normal thing that people will do, especially if you all have mutual friends and this and that. I'm not saying you're really trying to compare relationships. I'm just saying that if I see some really toxic stuff, it makes me appreciate what I have way more because I know that I don't have that. I'm not saying it's like, oh, well, we're better,
yeah.
like Alexa was saying, but it's just like, okay, well, at least, my man doesn't do XYZ because I know it would be hard for me. Just makes me feel grateful. Like,
For sure. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. But yeah, I typically in general do not talk about other couples at all,
yeah.
ever. Because it's A, it's none of my business. And B, if it works for them, then it works for them. If they're together and they look and they're happy, again, they might
No, but
be,
I'm not talking about in a happy relationship. I'm not talking about a one-off fight one night. I'm talking about, you have a friend that has a bad relationship.
well, that's what I'm saying. You can't really define it. If they're together, the implication is they're happy, or else why would they be together?
Oh, that's what you think?
Oh, that's what I know. In this day and age, you can leave at any time you want to.
I think there's a lot of people that stay in very unhappy relationships.
Then it's working for them. They might not, but I mean, there's people that stay in bad jobs too. Again, if you're willing to put up with it, who am I to tell you that you shouldn't?
I'm not saying you're
Enjoy
telling
it.
people. I'm
Enjoy
saying
it.
that when you see anything, it's just like when you see someone on the street, a homeless person, it's going to make you be like, I'm so blessed. I have these things. If I see really bad relationships and I'm in a really healthy one, it just brings me back to I need to appreciate what I have because I could be in that situation. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah. It's all relative.
Yeah.
I've seen couples that I thought was a toxic relationship, but they stay together and they seem to be in
Doesn't
love.
mean that I want that though.
No, I don't want it, but that's what I'm saying. But that's why again we had talked about before meeting the parents and friends and meeting my sister's boyfriends or husbands or whatever. I have no opinion whatsoever. I could care less. Like whatever y'all do, y'all do. If every night you guys are screaming at each other and that's how y'all communicate, then okay, I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what to tell you. I'm sometimes a little more. And don't get me wrong, marriage is different because you made a commitment. But if you're in a boyfriend girlfriend situation and you're not happy, get out. I mean, I know that sounds harsh, but get out. Either that'll work on it, but if at the end of the day it's just not going to work out, or you either going to have to come to grips with this is the way my life is going to be, or I need to explore other options, and that's for jobs, relationships. I get that sometimes you have to stay for certain reasons, but that's still somewhat of a choice.
Yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, I mean, this is, like I get, they're just meeting friends, family. They did the dress shopping, the tuck shopping, that whole thing.
Cole
And
wanted that badass blazer, and he couldn't because he was like, "No, Zainab told me it's got to be black or navy."
Aw.
I don't know if you saw that
Yeah,
blazer, but it was.
he's trying to keep her happy. I don't see anything wrong with that.
See, that's where I'm grateful. I get to wear whatever I want to. There's nobody's gonna tell me what to wear. Nobody's gonna tell me whatever I'm gonna wear. If I wanted to wear that blazer, which is it was a nice blazer, it was had color.
I'm just saying he's 25. That's all I'm
That's true.
saying.
And this is a second marriage, so
Yeah. Oh,
But-
yeah, that's right. You better make it work.
Yep. But anyways,
But yeah, it was good to see you again.
yeah,
And
great conversation.
we're almost at the end. Did you want to? I think I asked you a couple episodes ago if you had any predictions. I think you said none of
my
them.
gosh.
Are you still of that opinion?
I still don't think any of them.
Okay.
Long term meaning 5
Well, I
years
mean
or
that
more.
will go through with the wedding day.
Bartiz, no.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I wasn't talking about him when I asked this question.
I mean, Cole, I don't think his heart is in it exactly, but I think something else is going on with Cole. There's a rebelliousness that's about, he talked about his parents and how they were conservative and how they don't approve of his lifestyle, and it's almost like you can feel abandoned. So I think he sometimes is like trying to make it work with Zainab, even though he knows that they're not jiving.
Like to prove everybody wrong, you mean?
No, he feels like he's left out by himself.
Okay.
And she's the only one that he has left. Like my parents don't approve of it.
Right,
They don't.
and we're
They
in
don't
this
agree with
experiment
it.
together,
Yeah.
so-
And they're very conservative. He talked about how conservative they are, and he's like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to, go to church every weekend and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So he's feeling a certain kind of way. So he's out dangling in the wind by himself. Now Zainab's there, which he's going to marry, supposed to be his number one, but that's not working out either. So now he's feeling like, oh crap. My parents don't approve it. Now I'm with another person. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about him. Brennan, Lexa, I think, yes, for sure. That's going to happen. Matt, Colleen, I don't know. Matt seems to constantly be wanting to get out.
Yeah, he's got his bags packed every night.
He calms down and then he's like, he's okay. But I've seen guys like that. I sometimes have been a guy like that where I'm just looking for an excuse to get out. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and I don't think Colleen, no woman's going to want to put up with that anyway. If you're threatening with your bags packed every single time something happens, which we didn't even get into it, but he blew up the night of the Granada too, because apparently she went out to the club with the girls or whatever. But it's so, how can you feel good in the relationship?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I think everybody likes, but in particular women, is security.
Right.
And how secure are you whenever the guy that you're with is constantly saying he's about to leave?
Yeah.
And so that's not going to foster a sense of security and love and and whatever. It's just not. I'm not saying that, he wasn't incorrect in feeling the way he is, but his approach to like, I'm out. Okay, then get out, dude.
Yeah.
Stop saying it. Just get
really
out.
hate that.
And my whole thing with that is, for me, that's why I kept on saying, I don't think he's dealt with that trauma.
Yeah.
And until he deals with it, or at least has a better grip of learning how to live with it, there's no way that any relationship, he can find the most perfect girl. If he hasn't dealt with that, he's doomed to failure.
What about SK and Raven? Do you think they're going to make it to the altar?
I don't think so. Again, for that same reason that I think SK is bending too much to Raven's will. And he comes from a semi-traditional family. It's not our tradition, right? It's from Nigeria, but cultures are very hard. I mean, coming from Mexico, and my parents come from Mexico. There's a lot of hardcore wiring that comes with culture, because culture is just basically, you can't touch it. It's not written down. It's just things that are passed down from generation to generation to generation. Now you're asking them to stop thinking like that, but that's how you were born and raised. That's how you are. So,
well, you and I agree. I think only Brennan and Alexa, that's my opinion. I think they're the only ones that are going to say yes. And even then, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to last, but I don't think any of the other, this is a
I mean, I don't know either
bunch.
one of them, but I know that in any marriage, there's a little bit of give and take on both sides.
Yeah.
It can never be lopsided, and you're just begging for trouble whenever that's the case. But anyway.
Well, okay. Well, we'll see in the coming weeks.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.